Hi, I'm Joseph from WP Absolute, and today I'm going to show you 2 ways to install WordPress on your hosting server. WordPress can be installed on your hosting server in a number of ways. The initial setup process differs depending on your server hosting environment. Before you begin, you will need to make sure you have signed up to a hosting provider and purchased your domain name. How to install WordPress. Softaculous is a popular and easy-to-use WordPress install script for hosting servers. You have to log into your new hosting provider's server with your username and password. You should have gotten these details in an email when you signed up with your hosting. Scroll down to the Softaculous Apps Installer section and click on WordPress. You will see an overview of WordPress. Click on either of the install buttons to continue the WordPress install process. There are a number of important settings that will determine how WordPress is set up. Don't worry, if you need to change these settings, they can be changed later. If your hosting comes with a free SSL or you have purchased an SSL security certificate, then set the protocol to HTTPS. Otherwise, keep the protocol as HTTP. You also have the option to include www, but in my opinion, it is not needed, and your website will function just fine without it. Without www means your website address is shorter to type, which is always a positive. Your domain that you purchase with your hosting provider should be listed here. Make sure it is selected. If you would like to install WordPress in a subdirectory of your main site, then set the directory here. For example, if you want WordPress to be at example.com/blog, then you should write blog, and WordPress will be installed in that subdirectory. Leave this field blank if you are installing WordPress at the base level, for example, example.com. Site name. This is the name of your site, for example, WP Absolute. Site description. This is a brief description of your site. It can help to give visitors an understanding of what your site is about. If you're wanting to set up a network of sites all managed under the one, then tick this box. In most cases, you will just be setting up a single website, so you can leave it unticked. This is the login details you will use to log in and administer the backend of your website. Make sure that if there are default values that you change them. This helps with security on your site because hackers know that the default option for an admin username is likely admin. Make sure you set a good password that isn't easy to guess. When you create your account, your login details will be emailed to you at this address. If your native language is anything other than English, then you can choose your language from this list. WordPress has been translated into more than 35 different languages, so chances are your desired language will be available in this list. Some hosting providers also suggest WordPress plugins to install with your setup. These are usually plugins that will help to speed up or secure your website. If you hover over the icon next to each of the available plugins, then they will provide you more information about that plugin. The advanced options will differ depending on where your website is hosted. If there are other options not listed here, then you can hover over the icon to read more about that option. Selecting your theme. This is where you can choose to select a different theme on your site than the default theme. It is optional and you can always choose a better, more suited theme after install. It is a good idea to have your installation details emailed to you. You can enter your chosen email address so that the install details get sent to you. Once you have filled out all of the details and clicked on the install button, Softaculous will run through the WordPress setup using the options you have provided. It will take a short moment with a progress bar indicating how long is left until the install completes. The WordPress setup is now complete and you can now use your new website. Installing WordPress manually on your hosting server via FTP is slightly more involved than using Softaculous, but still very simple. We will be using a file transfer application to transfer the WordPress files to your hosting server. You need to download the latest version of WordPress to your computer. Go to wordpress.org and click the download button to get the zip file. Once you have downloaded the zip file, extract the zip on your computer so that there is a WordPress folder with all the WordPress files in it. Install and open your FTP application. If you are using FileZilla, make sure you follow the steps closely. When you first signed up to your website hosting provider, they should have sent an email detailing the FTP logins. The details you need to connect via FTP are server address, username, password, and port number. Your FTP server address will usually be ftp.yourdomain.com, or it will be an IP address. You or your hosting provider will make the username and password, and the port number is usually 21. It can be different depending on your hosting provider. You will be able to retrieve these details by contacting your hosting provider's support. In cPanel, you can log in and go to the FTP accounts section to find available accounts or create a new account. You can also click the Configure FTP client link to download the logins in a file for FileZilla. Add these details into your FTP application and click Connect. Depending on what FTP directory access you have with your logins determines where on your server you will be connecting to. You will want to locate the folder public_HTML. This is the public folder that anyone can access when accessing your website and is where you will upload WordPress to. On your computer, navigate to where you unzipped the WordPress zip in the previous step. Drag all of the files that are inside this folder into the public HTML folder. The upload will take a while depending on your internet connection speed. Once the files have finished copying to the server, you may close your FTP application. Log into your hosting server and go to the MySQL databases section. Enter a name for your new database in the field and click on Create Database. Take note of the full name of the new database. We will need to use this in the later step. On the MySQL databases page, scroll down to the Users section. You will need to create a MySQL user so that the WordPress can use it to access your newly created database. Make sure you take note of the username and password that you create. You will need to use these details in a later step. The user that you created still does not have access to the database. You need to assign it on the same databases page. Make sure the database and the database user are selected in the corresponding drop-downs and click the Add button. You will be asked what privileges to allow the user to have. Select all privileges and click on the Make Changes button. Your MySQL database is now set up and ready to use with WordPress in the next step. Go to the address you will be using to access your website. The first page in WordPress's install is to select what language WordPress should use. If your language is English, then click Continue. Otherwise, choose your language and then click the Continue button. The next page is just a welcome page that gives you a little bit of information on what you need in the next steps. Just click Let's Go to proceed to the next step. This is the page where you insert your database details that you created in previous steps. Click on the Submit button to allow WordPress to connect to your database. WordPress will show a confirmation message. You can now click the Run the Install button to go to the next step. Now you need to provide information about your website. This information can be changed at a later date in the WordPress settings if you change your mind. The site title is the name of your site, for example, WP Absolute. The username is the username you'll use to log into your website, and same with the password. Make sure you set a good password that isn't easy to guess. The email address that you want admin notifications to be sent to is what email address you put in here. When you create the account, your login details will be emailed to you at this address. Tick the search engine visibility box if you want to discourage search engines from indexing your site. When you're ready, click on the Install WordPress button to finalize WordPress installation. Success! WordPress is now installed. You will see a success message with your username. You can now click on the login button to sign in to your WordPress site. All of our videos are accompanied by written steps on our website, wpabsolute.com. Please give this video a like if this guide helped to shed some light on how to install WordPress on your own, and let us know in the comments if you need a hand. Be sure to watch all our other WordPress tutorial videos and subscribe. Thanks for watching.